me as I struggle to try to continue serving you in some small way. I should only possess an ounce of your strength you had on your voyage to America on the Jaladuta, where you experienced 2 heart attacks. You said the best thing to help someone who is having a heart attack is massage. But there was no one there. Now we knew that Krishna personally came and massaged your heart, so you can survive and continue your mission of saving the fallen souls in the Western world. Recently I heard a story of a devotee who was leaving his body and saw you come and sit at the foot of his bed. Please, Srila Prabhupada, when my time comes, please come and sit at the foot of my bed and take my hand and put it in Krishna's hand. I only want to be wherever you are. Your fallen servant, Subhuti Roy Das.
So,
let's try to keep it within 5 minutes.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nivesesa Sunyavadi Pasitadistarani. I would just like to say that for every one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they have never seen anyone as great as Srila Prabhupada. And they've never seen anyone as merciful as Srila Prabhupada. They've never seen anyone as kind as Srila Prabhupada. They've never seen anyone as self-realized as Srila Prabhupada. And so their whole lives are caught up with this person, Srila Prabhupada. And indeed, you have to get caught up with a person like that in order to become Krishna conscious. You cannot do it without the mercy of the great devotees of the Lord, their guidance, their direction, their love for Krishna. Just like we're loving Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada is also loving Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, who's also loving Gaurikashodas Babaji Maharaj. On and on, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is the process. Of course, Prabhupada always warned us about being sahaja. So we make a distinction between pure transcendental sentiment and the false sentiment. So I would just like to say a couple of little pastimes I had with Srila Prabhupada that are very meaningful. Once in 1975, I was in Philadelphia. Prabhupada was there. And one morning after Prabhupada did his morning walk, he came back and he was going into his quarters. And at that time, I was doing artwork, and I painted a painting of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Srila Prabhupada, which is hanging in Philadelphia Temple room. So the thing is that when Prabhupada came, when he was passing in the hallway, he looked at that painting, and he stopped, and he said, "Who to our spiritual advancement?" So what does Prabhupada want? First thing Prabhupada wants is a nice, strong unity among his disciples. Without unity, we can never satisfy Krishna. The whole spiritual world is based on love and unity. And as devotees, we get an opportunity to experience that with the devotees we have. And that will, day to day, help us to develop the qualities of a devotee. You cannot develop the qualities of a devotee without the help of other devotees. That is the Krishna consciousness movement. If that wasn't there, then nobody would get anything. Prabhupada said he didn't like organization, but he had to organize. So what we do, we support Srila Prabhupada's organization of the Krishna consciousness, and that will benefit us, and that will benefit the resident of the Kali Yuga. And so the mission is going on 100%. Those who are truthful to Srila Prabhupada, they will make spiritual advancement. That's the grace of the spiritual master. So anyone who comes to Krishna consciousness, they have to get in line in the parampara. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
They're just temporarily having this Srila so that they can offer the prasad.
Speak into the mic so everyone can benefit.
Thank you. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatani Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dear Srila Prabhupada, on this most auspicious occasion of your Vyasa Puja, I attempt to humbly offer a little prayer to glorify you on your most outstanding achievements. Dear Gurudev, you who have made the instructions of your spiritual master your very life and soul, and who made the ultimate sacrifices to fulfill those instructions, has ignited the fire of Krishna consciousness in the hearts of your disciples, friends, and well-wishers. Thank you, everyone, from your godbrothers who were well established in India. Instead, you pushed forward, using that stumbling block to showcase the super opulence of Sri Krishna, who provided all that you needed. You have shown by your example, O Acharya, what Krishna will do for his pure devotee. Your life showcases the greatness is greater than the worship of the Lord. Please allow us to continue to worship you. You have again exemplified this in your own personal behavior with the instructions of your spiritual master. You did not allow anything to take precedence over those instructions. Instead, those instructions molded your very life. Please allow me so that I can invest all my faculties in serving. your instructions also. Dear Srila Prabhupada, because of my previous bad karma and so many shortcomings, the actual problems of this human life, thank you for the opportunity and the instructions. You have so kindly given the manuals for the solution. Your elaborate, succinct, precise, clear, and simple purports provided in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Ishopanishad, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, Science of Self-Realization, Easy Journey to Other Planets, The Path of Perfection, your articles in Back to Godhead are only some of your magical contributions. Thank you so much for your intellectual outpouring of endless love for all the conditioned souls of this world. There is nothing to surpass this, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. So many of your disciples are disappearing from the service of Mahaprabhu. Please bless them all with the intelligence to take the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to every town and village, as the prediction states. Thank you for all your efforts to let the golden years of Kali Yuga bloom. Dear Srila Prabhupada, it is only by your mercy that I can even think of getting to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and his pure devotees.
So, I'd like to also, we've heard from a number of Srila Prabhupada's initiative disciples, but I also would like to have some of the residents here, senior residents especially, to also share. So I'd like to ask Ron Roy, would you like to come up and read your offering? Or speak if you like. Just speak? Speak briefly. Okay.
I'll speak briefly to respect the time for the Prabhupada disciples to speak. Srila Prabhupada, he has come to give pure, unalloyed, unmotivated, uninterrupted, pure devotional service. That is the reason why Srila Prabhupada's potency was, and is so great. And attractive. So, serving Krishna without any desire for one's own personal profit, in this material world especially, it's exemplified or shown by overcoming great obstacles and ordeals to actually accomplish the goal of pleasing Krishna in the topmost way. So Srila Prabhupada received that pure, unalloyed, unmotivated, uninterrupted Kevala Bhakti devotional service from his spiritual master, who wasted no time on that wonderful night in 1922. You're an intelligent young man. Why don't you spread Lord Chaitanya's message all over the world? Finally solidified 2 weeks before his spiritual master's departure. And Prabhupada took that order and instruction very seriously. And so many obstacles, non-cooperation from his family life, the dissolution of his spiritual master's, or splintering of his spiritual master's institution, World War II, the partition of India and Pakistan, the new government of India after independence, not favoring religion but industrialization, old age, poverty, obscurity, and finally coming. And he came here to New York City. And Prabhupada spent 15 months in this city continuously, from October 1965 until January 1967, when he went to San Francisco. And of course, that doesn't count the number of times that Prabhupada spent here after that. So everyone will agree, even from a normal calculation, that New York City is the most important city in the world, but that Prabhupada came here and in a seeming state of and Prabhupada demonstrated, as from his spiritual master and our disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya, that pure, unalloyed, unmotivated devotional service is accomplished by giving oneself fully to the mission of giving Krishna consciousness to others. And the Yuga Avatar, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he primarily demonstrated that by propagating the holy names of Krishna, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So I and we pray to Srila Prabhupada on this day that we can continue his New York mission. It's the famous story of Pancharatna. No, you've misunderstood. New York is my most important mission. Everyone should discover the glory of pure, unalloyed, unmotivated devotional service available here at the feet of Sri Sri Radha Govinda, who are actually the supreme Ishvar and Ishvari, the controllers of this so-called mad big apple. So there's no question of uncertainty for those who are serving Srila Prabhupada in this movement. There's no doubt, there's no fearfulness, there's no confusion. We know what is what. And ultimately, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan, Srila Prabhupada's mission in service to his spiritual master, ultimately to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, will be supremely victorious. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Prabhupada. So yes, I'd like to continue with some of the residents here and ask the offering group if you'd like to lead your offering or that'll be fine.
Hare Krishna, dear Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances at the Divine Lotus feet. Namo Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhaktale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamne Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Every morning we sing the glorification of you, Srila Prabhupada. You gave us this blessing of daily engaging in Guru Puja. One particular line, the Guru Vandana I like, is Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Charana Bandhu. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. How are you an ocean of mercy? You particularly manifested your mercy in the form of your instructions, by your books, letters, lectures, and conversations. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to every day hear from you directly. As Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita 10:11, Jnana Dipena Bhasvata, you destroy this ignorance born of darkness with the shining lamp of knowledge. You had the foresight, along with the perfect ability and empowerment, to apply Srila Rupa Goswami's principle, Yukta Vairagya, and perfectly utilize all technologies available at your disposal to preserve the transcendental vibration emanating from your lotus lips. You once mentioned that the grandfather was 1,000 times more merciful than the father. I am the son of your fully dedicated and surrendered son, making your extra mercy my rightful claim. I do have one concern, Srila Prabhupada. A constant thought in my mind is a continuation of this ISKCON society that you graciously bestowed upon us. In the purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 4:48, you mention the Acharya, when he disappears, things once again become disordered. We saw your prophetic words be the case. We also saw how the flow of your mercy was carried on by the hundreds and thousands of moon-like disciples you empowered to again stabilize your movement. Now we are again at a junction in time when your moon-like disciples will be departing, leaving us, your grandchildren, with the responsibility to carry on your movement. I'm concerned with the disorder we could face, but at the same time I'm incredibly excited that your 1,000 times of mercy will be there, along with your books, lectures, and letters and conversations continuing to guide us. On this day of your Vyasa Puja, I sit before you, sincerely begging you to please use me as an instrument in your hands to maintain, grow, and expand your society, especially through the distribution and study of your books and any other way you see fit. Thank you for considering my requests. Your humble servant, Gopal Chakradas.
I'd like to ask one more of our residents who contributed an offering for this book who's here. Is Arjuna Nanda here? He was here before. He's not here now. Okay. Bindu Madhava Prabhu, would you like to speak a few words?
Oops. Hare Krishna, my name is Bindu Madhavadas. I'm a recovering materialistic person. Those of you who know me know I'm not qualified and I'm a complete fool. Those who don't know me will soon find that out. So because I'm not poetic or literate, I just wrote a list of 35 words of things that I believe Srila Prabhupada has given us. I'm also a very sentimental fool, and I'll be crying, but anyway, the first thing I wrote was flowers. As we can see how beautiful the altar is, and Prabhupada's Vyasa is, all these flowers from all over the world, the beautiful scents, the beautiful colors. I work in the death industry. All my clients are funeral homes, cemeteries, and crematories. And that's about the only time that non-devotees get to see flowers, although at weddings. Of course, the people in the funeral home who are dead, they don't get to see the flowers. But here we are every day seeing beautiful, beautiful flowers, and especially on an occasion like today, it's just fabulous. Dancing. Everybody likes to dance, but devotees do that every single day. Mangalarti, Guru Puja, evening kirtans and things like that. Prabhupada gave us this wonderful lifestyle, very joyful, happy lifestyle, and for that I'm very grateful. Adarshi mentioned about going on the morning walk in Philadelphia. I was 19 when I went on the morning walk with Srila Prabhupada in Central Park. In high school, my event was race walking, and it was difficult to keep up with Srila Prabhupada at the age of 19. I was the only one on that walk, and I had my track shoes on, and still it was it was very interesting keeping up with Srila Prabhupada. Tulsi, beautiful we get to wear, and these are things that I would have never experienced without Srila Prabhupada. Dress, the women wear beautiful, beautiful saris, and the men wear nice dhotis and kurtas and things like that. some of the most beautiful dressing, and a nice wardrobe. Prasadam. I can go on for about an hour about prasadam alone, but all the wonderful, amazing foodstuffs that we get to eat every day. When I was in Mayapur, I got to, Prabhupada's sister was cooking pishima, and one of the subjis was a banana flower subji. Who knew that bananas had flowers and that you could cook them and things like that? And all the other wonderful exotic foodstuffs, the sweet shrikans, luglus, glubjamins, things that I never would have experienced without Prabhupada's mercy. Samosas, I mean, maybe we can go on and on about that. Devotees. We have the most wonderful association with so many different devotees from all over the world, different shapes, colors, races, religions. Prabhupada built this house that everybody could live in. Devotees are funny, they're adventurous, and very kind and loving. So for that, I'm grateful for the association of the devotees. Music. People like to listen to music. There are so many nice instruments, the harmoniums, the kartals, tamboras, and so many things. We get to listen to beautiful music numerous times a day in the different kirtans. So for that, I'm grateful to Prabhupada. Colors. You look around, you see all the different colors. Such a bright, bright experience. I was raised in a Jewish tradition. We didn't have any of these things. And I've gone to churches on a couple of occasions, and we have all these beautiful sights and colors to look at. It's fantastic. Knowledge. Unlimited knowledge. You've written so many books and shared with us your knowledge of the universe and the spiritual world, and where every word is a song and every step is a dance. Without you, Srila Prabhupada, I would know none of this. Radha Govinda, the beautiful deities of Radha Govinda. I was fortunate, I came to the temple in 1972 when the deities Radha Govinda were just being installed. And they're so beautiful and so kind, beautifully dressed, again with flowers and beautiful dresses and things like that. We wouldn't experience that without Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Sanskrit, which I know none of it. That's why I said Namo Vishnupadaya in silence, because I screw it up every time. But it's a beautiful, when I listen to other devotees who know it and can speak it fluently and things like that, it's so poetic. And again, nothing I would have experienced without Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Funny, Prabhupada's sense of humor was good, sometimes dry, and anyway, Prabhupada was often funny. Reality. You've shown us what the real material world is, that it's not a pleasant place. For so long it was hard for me to understand. I first met the devotees when I was 13 in 1970. They came to the high school. And the preaching was always, you're not your body, you're suffering, it's a terrible place. At the age of 13, 14, as a young teenager, I'm not experiencing any suffering. I'll be 66 next month, and I am experiencing the reality of the suffering of the material world. Old age, death, disease, and birth. Friend, I've known Adarshi Ramroy, Pancharatna, Bhushara, so many of these devotees for 50 years, and still they're friends to me. Not that I deserve their friendship, but you've given us so many devotees to be friends with, so I appreciate that. A house. We have this beautiful, beautiful temple, and temples all over the world. I've lived all over the world, in Australia and the Philippines, and you've built houses for us all over the world where I can just show up and be given shelter. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for that. Adventure. I'll tell one story of an adventure that Prabhupada didn't directly give us, but I think the statute of limitations is over on this adventure. So the Life Member Department went to an Indian Life Member's house. They're very wealthy. And in their backyard, they had beautiful, I'd say 4.5-foot marble deities, but they were in the backyard of their house, and they weren't protected. There was nothing covering them or anything like that. And the devotees were thinking, how terrible that these beautiful Radha Krishna marble deities are outside just not being taken care of. So a number of us planned a trip to Upper Westchester to steal these or kidnap the Radha Krishna deities. So we waited for a night when there was no moonlight. We had a couple of vans. We had a different. Were you there for that?
I'm innocent.
So we had like dollies and things because they were really heavy. I mean, they were marble. They were a little bit bigger than Radha Govinda here. And there was Bhushara was there. Bhumipati, were you there on that? I didn't know either. Nobody knows about this except I remember. So we went into their backyard at, like 1 o'clock in the morning and took these deities and loaded them on our van. And we were like, all right, we had 2 vans and maybe about 10 devotees, and loaded them on the van. And all right, now what are we going to do with them? So we drove down to, this was at Rath Yatra time, we rode down to the Rath site where the Rath carts were being built. And Jayananda Prabhu was there, and a number of devotees were building the Rath carts. And we had Mangal Arati for these deities. We sang all the prayers and everything, and we were really excited. Later, Adi Keshava, who was the temple president in GBC, found out about it. He wasn't happy, and I think it was the next day or maybe 2 days later, the cops showed up at the 55th Street Temple and said, you want to give us the deities back? So the deities went back to the Life Member's house. 1 second. Okay, so that was one of the great adventures. There were so many other adventures. Rath Yatra is an adventure. Anyway. The beautiful artiques, the cleanliness, you taught us how to clean properly. Real yoga, everybody's thinking, oh, bend your head like this or twist your pretzel body like this is real yoga, but bhakti yoga is the real deal. Learning how to love and associate with Krishna. And that's that whole thing where there's Julian Yatra where we get to swing the deities, Radha and Krishna. I mean, who else gets to swing God on an annual basis for a few days out of the year? I mean, Radha and Krishna is God, and we get to swing him. I mean, how merciful you are to us that you gave us this opportunity to swing God. I mean, who does that? It's inconceivable. Squatting, you taught us how to pass stool properly by squatting. It's a simple materialistic thing, but a mundane thing, but and I just mentioned the swing festival. You taught us how to be fearless, because we get to hold Krishna's hand and know that Krishna will always protect us and help us be fearless. Lord Jagannath, an amazing form of Krishna, who the first time I experienced that, it was like, who is this? And how can this be God? Of course, that's my own mundane vision, but to see the beautiful form of Lord Jagannath and get to give him a ride on 3 chariots down Fifth Avenue, the most important street in the most important city. Health, you've given us a very healthy lifestyle, how to eat, how to sleep, how to dress, how to do everything. Thank you for that, Srila Prabhupada. Kirtan, I mentioned, beautiful. Tulsi here, Mother Tulsi's here, and her sister is Janavi, and the beautiful kirtans. You can listen. I've listened to her for hours and hours on YouTube, and so many other great kirtan leaders. New York 55th Street was famous for all the Agni Dev and so many devoted, great kirtan leaders all over the world. You taught us how to raise our children to help them go back to Godhead. In fact, I read, if you can't help your children go back to Godhead, then you shouldn't have children. That's real birth control, actually, he said. If you can't raise your family or your children to go back to Godhead, then you shouldn't have children. You taught us what a waste newspapers are, and the news is always the same thing every day, just different names. A waste of time. And you taught us how to see everyone, see Krishna in everyone, so that we treat everyone equally. So for all those reasons, thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for this beautiful temple and this beautiful occasion. Hare Krishna.
So we have another half hour or so. We'll be here for a few more devotees. Would you like to perhaps speak now? And then so we'll try to be able to be talking for 10 minutes or so. And then any other members of our community here who some of the, yes, yes, and particularly there were a few of the young school, Mahagopi. Are any of the persons who wrote, like Radha or Vicky, or are they here? I'll speak to you in just a minute. Okay, thank you.
Namashestam Manumapi Sachiputram Atrasarupam Rupam Tashagrajam Rupurim Matarim Gostavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Moho Radhika Madhavasham Praptoyasha Pratita Kripaya Sri Guruntam Natosmi Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Vansha Kalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Trinadapi Sunichena Tadorapi Sahishnana Amani Namanadina Kirtaniya Sadahari Bhakjavahina Parada Lakshay Shivtashcha Kamaritarangamajay Kripa Mai Tvam Saranam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vrindam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharne Nimbasesha Sanyavadi Pastachade Shatarne. First of all, I'd like to offer my respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of my divine spiritual master, my Diksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And I'd like to also offer my respectful obeisances to the divine lotus feet of my Shiksha Guru, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'd like to offer respects to my Vartma Pradaksha Guru, Sriman Balakadas Prabhu. So in Srila Prabhupada's Pranam mantra, Gauravani Pacharane. So what is Gauravani? Srila Prabhupada actually mentions this in the preface to Chaitanya Charitamrita, but I'll give you the Sanskrit. Arajo Bhagavan Vrajeshas Tanayastad Dhamma Vrindavanam Ramya Kaschit Upasana Rajabadu Vargena Yakopita Ramya Kaschit Upasana Rajabadu Vargena Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pramarto Maham Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matam Idam Tatrador Na Para. So what is the Gauravani? What is the Vani of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Mahaprabhu is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's a verse that's explaining the reason for Mahaprabhu's coming. But in this verse, it's explaining Arajo Bhagavan Vrajesha, that this Krishna, who's the son of Maharaj, Nanda, and Yasodamai, he is our most worshipful object. That Krishna, not Krishna in Dwarka, not Krishna in Mathura, but this Krishna who's in Vrindavan, he is our most worshipable object. And just as he is worshipable, so is the land of Vrindavan. It states the method and Krishna Prema, this Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, that Prema is the ultimate goal of life. And this is the conception and opinion of Mahaprabhu, and we're not concerned for any other. So this is the Gauravani that our Srila Prabhupada has come to give us an opportunity to obtain this. Anarpita chirim chirat korunaya vatirno kalo samarpitum uno toj balaras swa bhakti shriyam. So where is this coming from? Ram Roy Prabhu, he mentioned this verse. He gave hint to this verse. Anya abilasita sunyam jnana karmadi anarvritam. This is explaining what is not bhakti. Mixed with karma, gyan, yoga. These things are not Sudha bhakti or pure bhakti. But the definition of what is pure bhakti, anakulyena krishnanushilanam bhakta uttama. So in the folio, one devotee explained this to me. This is one of the most quoted verses by our Srila Prabhupada in all of the folio. So he wanted us to understand the true nature of Kevala Bhakti. Once Srila Prabhupada was asked, what would make you happy if we distributed more books, if we opened more temples? Prabhupada said, if you simply become a pure devotee. Not such an easy thing, but we should aspire for that. The aim and objective is Krishna Prem. But this is not such an easy thing. Why? Because everyone has a desire for what? Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. I'll be religious. So by being religious, Krishna will give me some economic development. Then I can gratify my senses. And when all is said and done, I can get free from suffering and go back to the spiritual world. But this is not pure bhakti. This is business arrangement. Oh, Krishna, I'll serve you if you give me something. But we have to give up our selfish desires and serve Krishna uninhibited, like the supreme residents of Vrindavan, the gopis. So this is what Prabhupada came to give us and understand, to follow in the footsteps. This is why we're known as what? Rupanugas. Srila Rupa Goswami is none other than Rupa Manjari, an eternal associate of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada has blessed us by giving us the opportunity to elevate and raise our consciousness to this level of understanding. So he mentioned in one verse, I've got the name for this Krishna consciousness movement from this one verse. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatraloliam Api Mulam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukritirna Labhyate. So what is this Krishna Bhakti Ras? I've given a definition of what is Krishna Bhakti. But what is Krishna Bhakti Ras? Does anyone know? Can anyone say? I'm not giving a class, but I like to be interactive. Because if we can't share what we've been able to put in our patra from our Guru Dev, then we're wasting our time. Prabhupada came and he worked so difficult and hard to come and spread Krishna consciousness all over. But we have to understand the essence of what he's come to give. Srila Govinda Maharaj says, Bhagavatam is full of so many jewels. But if we don't dive deep to get those jewels in the bottom of the ocean, if we just stay on the top, we'll simply catch fish. And what is the benefit of that? So we have to go deep into Srila Prabhupada's books, but how is it possible? Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoya Sadhu Sangha, Krishna Bhakti Janma Teno Punamukya Anga. The root cause of bhakti is association of advanced devotees. When our consciousness becomes awakened, that same type of association is the most essential thing. So when Srila Govinda Maharaj was asked about this, how can we obtain this type of association? He said, weep, weep. We should pray sincerely. Srila Prabhupada is not left. What did he say in 1936? Guru is one, but he comes in an infinity of forms to teach you, me, and all others. It's just that some recognize and some don't. So wherever the flow of Krishna Bhakti Ras, this is in the hearts of Krishna's eternal associates. It's called Ragatmika Bhakti. In this world, following in the footsteps of those eternal associates is called Raganuga Bhakti. This one verse explains this real nicely. 1 second more. I apologize for taking time, but I wanted to express these things. This is from Adi Lila, chapter 3, text 16. Real nicely put. Knowing my opulence, the whole world looks upon me with awe and veneration, but devotion made feeble by such reverence does not attract me. So one of the qualities and characteristics of Sudha Bhakti or pure devotional service, it has that characteristic to capture and control Krishna. This is the type of love that Srila Prabhupada has come to give us the ability to obtain this thing. But do you think Krishna or Srimati Radharani is going to allow any nonsense, bogus person to develop this type of love? No. We have to give up everything, full surrender. Sarva dharma parityagya mame kam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva pabebhyo mokshayi yamima suchaha. We have to have that desire to surrender. And that's just the beginning of bhakti. So in this verse it says, after the appearance of Lord Krishna, thought that he had not distributed the transcendental personal dealings with his devotees in Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. One may understand the science of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the Vedic literature and thus become a devotee of the Lord and worship him within the regulative principles prescribed in the scriptures. But one will not know in this way how Krishna is served by the residents of Rajabhumi. One cannot understand the dealings of the Lord in Vrindavan simply by executing the ritualistic regulative principles mentioned in the scriptures. By following scriptural injunctions, one may enhance his appreciation for the glories of the Lord, but there is no chance for one to enter into personal dealings with him. Giving too much attention to understanding the exalted glories of the Lord reduces the chance of one's entering into personal loving affairs with the Lord. To teach the principles of such loving dealings, the Lord decided to appear as Lord Chaitanya. So we have to take our own self-examination and ask ourselves, are we actually striving to understand the topmost thing that our Srila Prabhupada has come to give us? But everyone's actually advancing according to their adhikari and their level of realization or understanding. So we pray today at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. He helps to awaken and expand our consciousness to understand the true nature of why he came here. So today I humbly pray to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada on behalf of all God brothers and devotees who are, were, or will be in the future, that we have this opportunity to obtain this topmost thing, Krishna Prem. Vanchakopa Trubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. That wasn't too long.
So we'd like to give a few more minutes, and we wanted to continue to hear from some of the residents here. And I was earlier asked Arjuna Nand if he was here, and he wasn't. Now he is. He must have just stepped out for a minute. So I'd like to ask him to read his offering.
नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमद् भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नाम्ने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. This is 55.
This is not the right page. Oh boy. I think we got some pages mixed up. 1 second.
Oh, it's 40.
Yeah, no, but I think we got. Is this yours?
It's on 40, the next one.
Oh.
The next one. Is it Vyasa and last?
Yeah, but where's the beginning?
Oh. Okay, I can read it.
You have it on, yeah, we'll fix it up. It seems, now, what do you call these? There's technical glitches. So I have to apologize to all the devotees who contributed. Tita Guru and I put this together. This is our first attempt. And I think we may have gotten some pages mixed up. So we'll get that in order. But you have it on your phone.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Dear Sri Prabhupada, I'd like to express my deep gratitude to you on this most auspicious day of your appearance. Appearance day of a pure devotee in this world means an opportunity for liberation for all living entities. Your appearance is most celebrated since you appeared and traveled across the globe only to give to others, not to take anything from them. And what did you give? You gave us our remembrance of our relationship with Krishna. Then the process of devotional service to reawaken that relationship and the most sublime goal of attaining love for Krishna. Therefore, you have added meaning and purpose to our lives, which otherwise was pointless and insubstantial. Jivan api mrito hi saha. Dead although breathing. Kicking out all name, fame and glory, you only glorified Krishna and made him famous throughout the world. Therefore, you are also Yashoda, one who gives fame to Krishna. Though born in Madhva lineage and to pious parents, I didn't know Krishna even though I thought I knew. It's only by coming in touch with your books, your lectures, your devotees, that I have got a glimpse of understanding who Krishna is. Otherwise, why is it that I have molded my life according to the will of Guru and Krishna only after I came in touch with you? Krishna is all attractive, and knowing Krishna means to be attracted to him, to serve him. How can one know Krishna and not be attracted to him? That simply means that one doesn't know Krishna. This was me before coming into Krishna consciousness movement, but you have now redirected this misdirected boat back on its proper onward journey towards its ultimate destination. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.13.10 states, Bhavad Vida Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirthi Kurvan Tirthani Swantastena Gadavrata. My Lord, devotees like you, your good self, are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. Amongst the oceanic amount of qualities that you possess, one quality that I adore very much is your willingness to undergo any amount of suffering to reach out to the fallen souls, to connect them back to Krishna. Your 40 years of struggle to preach in India puts my fruit-seeking intelligence into bewilderment as to how anyone could selflessly act with not much return for such a long time. Every time I read about your struggle to preach in your first year in the US with no help from anyone, it deeply touches my heart to witness the sacrifices you made simply for the benefit of the conditioned souls. And the title for that chapter in the Lilamrit is Crying Alone in Wilderness. Suffering couple of heart attacks on the Jaladuta, sharing the same fridge where meat was kept at the home of the Agarwals, receiving no appreciation or help for preaching from your god brothers or the Indian government or any rich people like Padampat Singhania, no financial stability, crazy person trying to harm you in the dead of night, and what not you have not undergone in trying to fulfill the instructions of your spiritual master. But all these challenges became beautiful ornaments on your personality as they brightly and vividly highlight your compassion and dedication to the mission on account of a deep surrender to Guru and Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.17.28 states, how devotees solely engaged in devotional service of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, never fear any condition of life. For them the heavenly plan is liberation and the hellish plans are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. Dear Prabhupada, I must honestly admit to you that I do not have any capacity to please you or reciprocate with you for what you have given me. But I'll try my best to set the right example in our society by following the standards you wanted a sadhaka to practice, by cooperating and developing friendship even with those devotees with whom my chemistry may not match, by acting for the pleasure of my gurus who are simply your sincere disciples and followers, and by adding my bit of firewood to keep this fire of Sankirtan blazing strong and wide. With your blessings and mercy, I remain your servant, Arjun Anandas.
One more of our resident community, Divyangi, is she here still? Is Divyangi here? She's not here right now. She's here. Where? Come on. Yeah, you can.
Hare Krishna, Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Prachadane, Nirvishesha Shunavali Pashtachadesh. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my most humble obeisances. All glories to you, and all glories to the service you have done and you're doing right now. So, very honored to speak. I didn't expect that. And so I just don't have enough words really to express my gratitude to you and to everything you have done for me. You have saved me completely from this so-called happiness of material life, what I had before. Coming to Krishna consciousness, and you kindly given me a real family and showed me what real love, care and support look like. Only because of you I can do what I like right now and be with devotees who I love. And how can I repay this debt to you? There is no chance, but I always want to be in this state of indebtedness and gratitude to you. Your example of devotion and love to Krishna is contagious. Your ability to ignite the fire of love of God in the hearts of people you've met and meeting now through your books is amazing. Your ability to connect and give Krishna to everyone inspires me. Your faith in Krishna is humbling. You came in a boat at such an old age, and out of compassion to all of us, what a level of compassion and urgency it must be. I'm so grateful to serve you by doing book distribution. When devotees asked you what the best way is to teach how to distribute books, your answer was that we just have to teach them how to be sincere, and that everyone has his or her own genius in the hearts, so the super soul will guide them. For me, it's just such an amazing example of acceptance of each person's nature and engaging in Krishna's service, everyone who wants to serve you, no matter what shortcomings people have. Dear Srila Prabhupada, I pray that I continue to serve you in the best way I can, teach and inspire others to do the same. I'm also praying that Krishna will eternally keep me at your lotus feet and enthusiastically engaged in service to you and your followers, your insignificant servant, Tivyanki Devdas.
Thank you. So we'll just reach our conclusion with a few poems. If you permit me to read my offering, and then we'll conclude with Jayadvaita Maharaj's poem. He is, though not present, he is very much connected with us in spirit, and one of the oldest of our New York devotees. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sannivadi Paschatade Shatarine Om Agina Timanandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakchuran Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. On this glorious day, the first word I must use to express what I feel must surely be gratitude. But still, this word falls far short of the truth, of the simple fact that I owe everything to you. There is no reason, no cause one can see for the mercy you've given again and again to me. No words of thanks can be enough to convey even a token of my debt, impossible to repay. Still, I give you my life. Though alone it is worthless. Please use it